Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Hidden Sins, the Cost of Covering Up. Hidden Sins, the Cost of Covering Up. Well, some of you have read some of the stories that are out there in mainstream media. Over the years, we have seen our share of individuals who were profiled as celebrities, whether they really were or not. It all depends on if you knew them. But some of these names that come to mind are Roman Polanski, D.B. Cooper, Robert Durst, Randy Quaid, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and many others who were fugitives. Okay? They were fleeing from the law. They were just looking to evade any consequences for their actions. And this sort of thing is going on now that people have been exposed for some criminal activities related to parties. And then there are people behind those parties, not just who we know all over the internet, but people who you don't know, who attended those parties, who funded parties, and who simply belong to political parties and got favors. Okay? So, with that said, we go to our Bible and we see that there's nothing new under the sun as far as people fleeing, covering up, doing shady activities. Nothing new. And we will get into that. What are some of these things that people do? Some of this illegal stuff that they do to obtain more money on top of money. Personal reasons that no one really knows about. What are the lengths that they would do to cover up their illegal activities? If you think of some of the movies that we've watched over the years, as well as just people in your own family who have done some illegal things, we'll go over that list and then we'll talk about some of the biblical issues with some of those characters. But they'll destroy evidence. And this is what we've seen and heard about. And when you try to get information from individuals, I know when I was putting together some family history stuff, oh, that's thrown away. That's out in the trash. I don't know where that is. Okay. When people don't want you to know something, suddenly it goes from they wanted everybody to know because there was benefit. But when they know we can piece together some things, they don't know where things are. So they're going to shred documents. They're going to destroy old computer hard drives. They're going to hide weapons. Of course, they're going to act as if they never used drugs. Things like that. Some individuals will go so far as to set fires. They'll destroy their room and everybody else's room, entire buildings, bring things down. You understand? Filing cabinets. Suddenly, she had a bunch of filing cabinets. Now she has nothing. You see? So there's a lot of interesting things that we see when people don't want you to know the truth. This is why for some individuals, it's best not to even ask or mention anything that you want. You have to figure out other ways in terms of getting it. Okay? Not that we're promoting any type of illegal activities and how you get those things, but there are ways to basically talk people into doing some things if they know what's good for them. Okay? Some of you all have been a part of those projects. You have been that one that, look, you really don't want to go destroying stuff and throwing away stuff. And then we already have evidence and proof that you have it. It's just best to turn it over. Some other things that individuals will do because they just don't want you to know what's up. This is what those that are in law enforcement, judges, witnesses, government officials, they'll do some of this: bribery, corruption, suppress investigations. I even seen most recently with the Joker movie how when the Joker was representing himself he pretty much bombed that case for himself. But someone actually threw a bomb in the courthouse. Now that was telling, because sometimes we can't help but think, what is this telling us? You know, somebody got plans to do something, huh? Or a group. So everybody be ready. Be ready for potential outcomes that folks aren't going to be happy about. And so watch out for the weird ones. Watch out for the strange ones. You see. I mean, that was a thought that came into my mind. And I'm just like, here we go. Corruption running amok. When there is something that someone else is doing that's tied to something that they don't know is tied to, there is this trail that runs deep. And next thing you know, you find out that there's organized crime. Corporations are a part of it. Politics. A lot of interesting things. But I thought it was just this over here, right? Case in point with the P. Diddy. That's more than just a P. Diddy thing. Okay, they branded a P. Diddy party, P. Diddy this and P. Diddy that. But at the end of the day, we know that it's a lot bigger than what it appears to be. And that historically, people have been moving and shaking in terms of illegal activity long before it had a black face. Okay? Keep that in mind. When there are fires and floods and there are things that happen during tough times, whatever those times might be, we have reason to believe that someone doesn't want something to be leaked or to be found out. And if you create enough chaos around a situation, people start to forget, or people, oh my goodness, I never thought about this city, this state. Oh, there's a bunch of celebrities that live there as well. Oh yeah, that would be in their best interest. You see, I mean, money, the world is Gotham. My God, the world is Gotham. Let's move on. We've got people who falsify all sorts of documents. I remember coming across some individuals many years ago who I was like, wait a minute. This looks like the same person who signed this document, who signed that document, and these are supposed to be different people, different signatures, and different contracts. So how is it that they're all signed similarly? And so I started talking to different people at the time, and I said, look, did you sign this? And they're like, no. I said, and what about you? Did you sign this? No. And so we started noticing a pattern. Well, I'm not going to be responsible for some fake stuff that somebody drafted up or signed or what have you. So I started notifying all of the leadership about it. I'm like, we've got a situation. It runs deep. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. And so I started sending over documents showing them what was happening. And it turned out that the reason for this was that with the fake signatures, the person did not want to just simply reach out to people and get them to sign documents because of the language barrier. I know, right? Like you couldn't get somebody to talk to these people in a different language. So there are those individuals that they do some things for some strange reasons, or for reasons that, okay, I get it, but you shouldn't put your career on the line. But since you did, you're going to get into some trouble for it. Okay. So another way, or many ways that people will do some illegal things, is they're going to create their share of fake documents. They're going to manipulate some financial records. They're going to forge people's signatures to cover their tracks. So if you're an investigator, or you're someone who you're thinking about, well, I want to know what's going on, if there's some illegal activities, you start off with looking around, asking questions. And then when you start seeing that information is disappearing and they don't want you to know this or they don't want you to have that, there's something that they're hiding. When other people are involved and they're in positions of authority, positions where if a lot of people knew about what they were up to, they would go, what? Oh my gosh, they might protest. You know that there's going to be some type of bribery or some corruption of some sort, right? And of course, once again, the falsifying of records. I simply started looking at documents and I said, something's not adding up, you know. Threats. Some people will intimidate you. They'll even go so far as to exert physical violence upon you because they don't like people who do things by the book. They don't like the whistleblowers, the witnesses, none of it. Some of you all work for companies like this. And so when you see that all of these things are going on and now it's building up to threats and intimidation, don't underestimate people. You should be documenting what is being said. You should also be reaching out to law enforcement about what has recently occurred. And if you don't trust the local law enforcement, then you talk with someone in another country, another city, a state, something. I mean, being anonymous. But whatever you got to do in order to get some things done so that folks are no longer getting away with whatever they're getting away with. Many individuals that are a part of financial crimes, we've seen this in movies and elsewhere, they have these shell companies or offshore accounts. When I was growing up, there were a lot of the front businesses. They looked so simple, so harmless, right? And then behind the scenes, it was bigger than that. It was way bigger. Matter of fact, what was going on behind the scenes had nothing to do with the storefronts. And some people, when we look at the music that they've come out with over the years, the movies, all of these things, every single one of those individuals that grew up in the pimp, hustler, player, gambler, grew up with a bunch of liars, drunkards, they all need to be investigated. It's rare that a person who is worldly is suddenly going to be a saint. Okay, so just a word to the wise. A lot of times these individuals, they're going to hide things in plain sight. I remember there were those family members who you thought that what you were looking at was just what it was, and it turned out that that was something that held their private stash, okay, or the stash of others, or some things that they stole. Sometimes they're wearing it instead of putting it in a safe somewhere, and they've altered what they've stolen, you see. And sometimes people will take on new identities. Why did she suddenly lose all that weight and she's got all these different outfits? And, wait a minute, don't she typically, yeah, she typically is this way, but now she's that way. She's got something to hide. She don't want people to know that she was seen across town with Tom and Dick and Bobby, you see. Or she doesn't want you to know that she's hooked up with somebody who is into all sorts of activities that are illegal to finance their lifestyle. So sometimes a person isn't actually doing the things, but there's people around them that they are trying to distance themselves from all of what's going on. And so they come up with, whatever they're going to come up with. But yeah, there are those individuals who will participate in all sorts of crimes. They'll use fake passports. They'll use fake licenses. They'll alter their appearances. They'll live under all sorts of aliases. Okay? Oh yeah, we're telling business today because we know that individuals, we're tired of you getting everything. We really are. And you can call it jealousy and you can call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, when we have to do things the long way, the hard way, the way where a lot of doors get closed in our face, and then we see that you have easy breezy street, Yes, we're questioning, how did you get all of what you got, whether on the internet or off the internet? What about these individuals with the fake alibis, and they like to come up with all sorts of false stories? You might have the husband or the wife doing this, the auntie or the uncle. You might have your grandmother or your grandfather or your best friend or your daughter or your son. They always got this story that they come up with. And I'm telling you, when you heard that comedian Cat Williams say, all lies will be exposed, man, it's all lies. All these fake stories, fake alibis, saying that they were way across country, across town somewhere, right? Okay, sure you were, but your henchmen, they weren't. The people up to doing whatever to whoever, they're in town, they're paid handsomely to get some things done. You got people who will create all sorts of events to make it look like, I don't know what you're talking about. Some of you all have been gaslighted in your own families because of what you saw a long time ago. And people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you talk to the sister and brother, you were there. I don't know what you're talking about. This is why it's easy for you to be able to piece together things out there in celebrity world, because you grew up around family members that were like that. You see? And of course you have those individuals who will discredit the establishment that's investigating them, discredit family members and friends for their stories, their bona fide truth that they're speaking, right? They'll say all sorts of things because they know that they have made the lie the truth and the truth the lie. You've got to fight past all of this stuff as a truth seeker, truth teller, all of it. When the temptation is there, saying no to it. The Bible shows us plenty of examples where people were fleeing. They were covering up some wrongdoing. Oh yes, nothing new under the sun. In Genesis 4, 8 through 16, Cain, he was fleeing after he did the unthinkable to his brother, Abel. And this was jealousy that drove him to do what he did. Am I my brother's keeper? God's asking Cain a question. Cain's not being straightforward. He doesn't want to take responsibility for what he did, and so God dealt with him. Bible says God cursed Cain. Cain ends up being this restless wanderer. He's wandering all over the earth. Why was he doing that? To keep from people taking him out. And that's what some of your famous celebrities and not so famous celebrities do. They wander all over the place. God sees who's hiding. He sees what they're up to. And even if man's justice doesn't catch up to you, God's divine justice will. That's why we keep telling people, confess sin and repent, do the right thing. This way you don't have to worry about God's divine justice, because I tell you, that's worse. It really is. Because he knows you on the inside. He knows your weaknesses. He knows what your kryptonite is, Superman, Superwoman. Another example, Exodus 2, 11 through 15. Moses, he was running. Oh, yes. He fled Egypt. He had killed someone. And he left. And it wasn't just someone. I mean, it was an Egyptian. Right? Someone who was in a position to hurt another person using their authority. And back in those days, you weren't supposed to be doing all of that, mistreating slaves. And soon as Moses knew that somebody saw what he did, he had to leave. Because he was leaving because he didn't want to face the consequences. Bible says that he lived in exile for 40 years. See, a lot of people are fleeing this country. They knew that they would have to flee the country because of what was out there about them and what continues to be put out there concerning some other people. Because some things, you know us, regular folks, we're not going to let some things die. We're not going to we'll dismiss that. Especially if they're believers who are doing some wicked things and they know this. Those that are in powerful positions who claim to be Christians, they know that it's over for them. Their career is over. Their relationships are over. Their children don't respect them. We're not going to respect them. They know it. We're not sugarcoating. That's part of the consequences. 2 Samuel 11. David, he covered up his adultery to Bathsheba. We talked about that a lot. I use that for many examples. But he had to cover up that affair, you see. Because what did it do? It resulted in that pregnancy. And not only that, you sit up there and you get that woman's husband taken off the face of this earth. He didn't like Nathan coming up there telling him about what he did, but he did the right thing when he repented. That's why we're okay with David, because we knew that David repented, you see. And he knew that that child, or I should say we knew that that child that David had wasn't going to make it. The Bible tells us that. That was part of God's judgment. It's like, okay, well, man, he's going through a lot. He's going through a lot. Not only did he end up having the affair and getting somebody pregnant, but he loses his child, and he's got the guilt of having taken that woman's, husband out. Yeah. You see? But God's justice is prevailing. And then another example was Genesis 27 and 28. Jacob, he was fleeing from Esau. He had to get away from him. And we all know about that one. I talked about that on and off on this channel as well. This is why you don't play favorites with children. You really don't. As a parent, you're thinking that you're doing something special, wonderful, or you're making an example by, I'm going to give this one and not give that one and all that. All you do is you create unnecessary dramas and traumas, and you're going to deal with that. There are those individuals that the Lord showed me through his scriptures that they had to suffer as a result of what they said and what they did concerning children. You don't leave this world without suffering, saint as well as sinner. God calls your mind to remembrance in the midst of your suffering on how you treated people, what you did and didn't do for people. But yeah, Jacob knew he was in the wrong, deceiving his father. But his mother put him up to doing it, though, you see. But then at the same time, you lose his son because now he's got to leave because Esau wants to take his own brother out. Another Cain and Abel situation would have occurred had he stuck around. So he got gone. So you see in the Bible how this all works? People running because of things that they did. And when they're running, they're dealing with guilt. They're dealing with all sorts of emotional burdens, mental health issues. Their well-being isn't so well. There's also the sin because you lied, you're secretive, and so now you're reputation is damaged as a result of telling lie upon lie because you're trying to cover up, you see. But God, as you saw in those examples, his judgment comes upon individuals. He did this with Ananias and Sapphira, who lied about the money they donated to the church. You see? Oh, okay, so that's what you want to do? They ended up passing away too. God allowed it. Many, many hidden sins are brought out into the light. And many of those individuals who try to cover up those sins, they face divine consequences. That's that divine judgment that we talk about. The broken relationships that result because somebody wants to cover up something, tell a lie. The loss of your reputation, is it worth it? Covering up some sins. And then, the word is out. All you had to do was just tell the truth. All you had to do was be credible. But you didn't want to do that, did you? Long-term consequences. What are some consequences that you know of that people in your family experienced because they insisted on keeping everything hush-hush? Think about it. Are you participating in behaviors where you are trying to cover up some things? And it's resulting in more drama on top of drama too. Going back once again to confessing sin, seeking forgiveness from others who we've harmed in some way because of the covering up, the telling lies, to the enabling abusers and users. You won't feel so bad on the inside if you make wrongs right within you concerning other people. You see, that's where the healing comes from. The redemption, reconciling the family members and all of that is, we finally look at the truth for what it is. We face it. We say, look, I'm not going to keep hiding this sin or covering up. This man, he was saying things and doing things that were inappropriate. They were wrong. I'm just giving an example. And I think that no matter what he's done for this family, how much money he has given this family, what associations, connections, affiliations, I think that he needs to be dealt with as a result of it. I don't think that we need to continue to invite him to various holiday events. I don't think that we need to associate with his cronies. I really think that we need to distance ourselves from this individual, and if there's illegal activity involved, we need to report it. Is there a family member that's willing to call that type of family meeting together and go immediately down there before people get a chance to start picking up phones and calling and warning people? There's certain family members I can tell you that you can't talk to because they're just sold out for the pimps, players, hustlers, gamblers, liars, and drunkards in the family. You can't talk to them. You know who they are because they keep celebrating them. The holiday season is the telltale in terms of who you can trust and who you can't trust. You see. Some of you all will attend a holiday event, even though that's not your cup of tea, but you will, because the Lord will speak to you on it. And the reason for it isn't what you think. You might be thinking, well, I don't celebrate this holiday and I don't celebrate that. No, that's an opportunity for you to come face to face with the person who used you and abused you, with your support team all around you, though. With your support team all around you. Because you can't seem to find this person anywhere else. They don't answer your phone calls. They don't come around. And then that host or whoever's in support of you can set it up in such a way where you all are on the other side of the house somewhere or down the street with, a witness, of course. And they may try to get away with the one who is covering up, lying, and whatever else. They may try to get away from you. They may even get in a car and take off. Be ready for it. I've been meaning to talk to you. And I never brought it up to you. But now I am. Why now? Doesn't matter why now. I need to bring this up to you. And then whatever that might be. You see? And like I said, some of these things might be a little illegal. And that's all the more reason why you want to get law enforcement involved. And I have personally done that over the years. I said that, you know what? I'm about sick and tired of some of these people. And others, I was like, yeah. Like the one lady told me when she found out some things about one particular relative. She said, I'm going to let him hang himself. Of course, he didn't literally hang himself, but he did tell enough lies that now, I'm sorry, but it's over. Pack your stuff and get gone. You see? So this is what the shady individuals are doing. Okay? And when you break down each of the things that I said, if you play this audio back and you break down each of the things that I said, you will find that there is someone that you might know within your own family, somebody at the workplace, or someone in media that's doing most of these things. They just haven't been found out just yet. Okay? But it's only a matter of time. Because some people are so determined to get the upper hand on other people. There are some people that are so vengeful. And others who, it's not even about getting the upper hand. They're just weak. They're weak. They'll fall for anything and everything. But the children of God who are walking with Him, they are not weak. They are not dumb. They're not stupid. And they see right through the shenanigans. And that's all the more reason why when you see through the shenanigans, and I don't care what color you are, what you believe in, who you support, it's all about truth, right? It's all about truth and what we stand for and what we don't stand for. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. And yes, we do welcome giving on this channel. You are welcome to give. Thank you, thank you. The links are in the description box. And blessings to you.